Hey, Shabbat Shalom. I thought I would come to you live from MJE, where it all happens. It all goes down in this place. We're getting ready for Shabbat, and this Shabbos is actually quite significant because it's the Shabbat between Yom Hashoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, which we're commemorating actually still today, last night and today, and next week Yom Haatzmaut, Israel Independence Day. We had an amazing program here just last evening. Over 100 people who came to listen to two survivors tell their story. And next week we're going to be celebrating and dancing for Yom Haatzmaut. And guess what this week's Parsha is called? This week's Parsha is referred to as Acharei Mot, which means after the death. It refers specifically to the death of the two sons of Aaron and how Aaron dealt with that terrible personal loss in his life. And I think, I don't believe in coincidences, but that this week's Parsha, between Yom Hashoah and Yom Haatzmaut, is referred to as Acharei Mot, after the death of. How do we deal? How do the Jewish people deal with the aftermath of the death of 6 million, the Holocaust? Well, you know what developed out of the Holocaust, out of the Shoah, out of the ashes of Auschwitz, developed the modern state of Israel. And it was due to the incredible optimism, positive thinking, and emunah, incredible fortitude and faith of survivors from the war, together with the great Zionist early pioneers, the Chalutzim, who made it to Israel, to come together and to say the Jewish people can no longer be subject to the whims of the other nations of the world. We have to have our own independence, our own sovereignty, our own country in the land of our forefathers. And so we went from being persecuted in Europe to being free in Israel. And that's something we should reflect upon this holy Shabbos. It's a Shabbos of transition from the darkness of the Shoah to the light of the creation of the modern state of Israel. We have so much to be thankful for. We have so much, sometimes we think we live in very boring, mundane times. These are miraculous times. These are the times we believe as we get closer to the Messianic age, because the Mashiach is supposed to bring all of the Jewish people back to Israel. The creation of a modern state in the land of our forefathers brought millions of Jewish people back to Israel. We are 8 million strong in Israel today. Israel is in an incredible, incredible place, but we must never forget what preceded Israel, and that was the Shoah, and how our Bubbies and Zaydis, and how our grandparents did not give up. They didn't give up their faith in God. They didn't give up their Judaism. They kept on going even when the world had turned its back on the Jew. The Jew never turned their back on Hashem or on Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. We built Medinat Yisrael. Let's reflect on that when we think about those words, Vahi Acharei Mot, and after the death of the sons of Aaron. Aaron, of course, mourned the death of his sons, but he moved on, and he went on to do great things even after that terrible tragedy. Our people have done just the same. We moved on, and we will never forget. And we have to remember what the Nazis did to our brothers and sisters and make sure that genocides never take place in the world again. But we have to move on as a people into the future, ultimately in the land of Israel. Shabbat Shalom, and may this be a momentous and important Shabbat.